it's Helene Foy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing a reading vlog of the Priory of the Orange Tree. So I've heard a lot about this book for quite a while here on Bookstagram and on Writergram, all those grams. And I've been intrigued because I heard that it was quite a thick book, but I heard that the world building was incredible and that the lore and mythology was also really interesting. So I figured I might as well read Priory of the Orange Tree, vlog my experience about it. I think it is worth noting that I did not purchase Priory of the Orange Tree. I actually checked it out from my online library through Overdrive, the Overdrive app. So I have it for 14 days. And it is a thick book. Part of the reason why I decided to do it on the library app is one, because I'm cheap, and two, because it is such a thick book from what I've seen when people, post it on Instagram. It's a very thick book, and I think it would be really intimidating to be holding it and reading it. I don't know, I just think it would be kind of intimidating to me. So it's nice to have the ebook version of it. Also, it'll be a lot easier to carry around with me. The ebook version is nice, I can just read it on my phone. But that being said, I do have only 14 days to complete this book. So this is going to be very interesting. There are, I want to say 76 chapters, something like that. I don't have the exact numbers right now, but I did the math, worked it out, and figured out that I have to read 5 or 6 chapters a day. And if I do that and maintain that reading speed, I should be able to finish it in exactly 14 days. It is something where I can't really fall behind. I have to make sure I stay on track with it. So yeah, I'm going to get to reading and I'll check back in with you with my thoughts for the first 5 chapters. Yeah. And in case any of you are wondering, I do actually have more mugs besides just this one, but I just use it all the time. One, because one of my piano students gave it to me for my birthday, which I thought was so sweet. And then for 2, it's so cute. Look at this. And it's really big, so I love it. It's perfect for coffee or warm water, like I have right now, because I'm lame. But anyway, yeah. Hey guys, so I just finished the first 5 chapters. It didn't take me too long. I think the first few chapters always do take a little bit longer, especially when it's an epic fantasy like this, or high fantasy, probably both, because you have to read slow to try to understand the world and make sure you're absorbing all the world building info that they're kind of throwing at you. So I have my cute little notebook here. I wrote down kind of some notes of what my impressions were. I'm still rifling through. Here we are. My impressions were for the first 5 chapters. I like all the characters and plot lines that are getting introduced. I can already kind of see how a few of them are fitting together. I can see potentially how some characters are going to meet each other later on and how some of their plot lines are going to connect. So that's always really exciting to see and to try to guess at what is going to happen. I like all that. And let's see, there's another thing. Oh yeah, so world building and setting, as I was saying earlier, I am still a little confused even after 5 chapters, but I feel like the scope of this book is so big, and I feel like it's just kind of a normal thing to be confused. Like, it's not something that's making me feel drawn out of the book. It's more intriguing to me because there's still some things I don't know yet, and that's okay. Like, it's not something I'm necessarily concerned about or whatever. I'm excited to read more and to learn more. I do like the mythology that she adds about the dragons. I think it's a really cool twist on the typical, the lizard dragons with wings. I like her addition of the worms and of the different types of dragons and the mythology and the lore behind that. And I think she described one of the dragons is something that doesn't always have wings and can fly with like an organ in its brain, and they have like a pearl. I think it was in their neck that they grow a pearl or something. I have to go back and double check in that passage to make sure it's right. But I briefly remember reading something along those lines, and I just thought that was so interesting. I love it when authors take typical, or not typical, but like, you know, common mythological creatures and kind of turn the mythology, turn it on its head, and just create kind of a new version, make it their own. And I always just think that's really fun to read about. So now that I just finished chapter 5, I'm actually like, I'm excited. I'm hooked. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm hooked at this point, and I am excited and ready and wanting to read more and to find out more about all these characters and the plot and all of it. So anyway, that's my thoughts for these first few chapters. I'm not sure how often I'm gonna end up checking in, just because I don't think I'm gonna want to check in every day for 14 days. But I'll let you know kind of every once in a while if I have like a big aha moment or I hit a plot twist or something. Don't worry, I won't spoil anything, I promise. But yeah, anyway, I'll check in with you guys later. Goodbye. Alright, so this is literally the worst time to video because there is grasping mode out there. I apologize for the background noise. So, little update on my reading. I am behind. I am more than a day behind. I am probably 2 or 3 days behind. And that's not good because I'm supposed to be reading 5 or 6 chapters a day. So I woke up this morning and started reading. I think I started on chapter 11 this morning. I'm now on chapter 26, but I need to get to chapter 36 in order to actually be caught up. I've been reading since, I want to say, like 7 o'clock this morning, and it is now 10:35, and I'm only like halfway through. So I've been reading for like 3 hours. So I'm gonna be reading probably close to 6 hours today in order to catch up. Which, I mean, luckily I don't have a lot of stuff that I need to be doing today. I knew I'd fallen behind, and so I was kind of planning to catch up today. So that'll be nice. It's so much to read. And I don't think it's at the point where I can't enjoy it. Like, I'm still enjoying reading, you know. I don't want it to get to the point where it's just more of a task I have to do because we have a deadline before I have to return to the library, because I feel like that's going to take the enjoyment I have of reading it. I feel like it's going to take away from that enjoyment. I don't feel like it's at that point yet. I'm just hoping it doesn't get to that point. I will be back pretty soon with some updates, some more notes that I have been writing in my notebook, and kind of give you guys a little bit of, I guess, more thoughts that I have once I get further into the book. There's a lot of stuff happening now, let me tell you. I thought the story was going to go one way, it's going a completely different direction, which is a very pleasant surprise for me, but more on that later. Anyway, I'm gonna get back to reading because I need to get on it. Okay, bye. I'm back. Okay, so it is sometime in the afternoon. I don't really know what time it is. I want to say probably like 2:30 or something. I ended up going on a walk with my sister, and we're gonna move down here because I ended up going on a walk with my sister to get some much needed coffee. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of this coffee or not yet. Anyway, I'm like so out of it. This coffee clearly is not helping me. But good news, I only have 3 chapters left to read today, so I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm practically caught up at this point. Luckily, these last few chapters have been shorter, which was nice. The pace is picking up a bit for those. Not to say that I'm not enjoying it, because I am really enjoying the world building and all of that from this book. I'm going to go ahead and take the time, pull out my notebook, and go over some notes that I have made for... I'm having a really hard time remembering to look at the camera lens for some reason. I'm sorry. Usually this is not an issue. Yeah, and the lighting's bad. I'm apologizing so much, you guys. It's really not ideal how I'm filming right now, but it's fine. Okay. Okay. So Some notes that I have. I'm now on chapter 32. I'm just starting on that right now. I need to get to chapter 36. I need to have read through chapter 35 and stop right before 36 today to be on track. So I should be good. Okay, so some further notes that I've been noticing for this book is I do really enjoy the way that she describes things, that the author describes things. She does a really good job with analogies and similes, and it really evokes a really nice aesthetic that I enjoy reading. It makes it fun to read. That being said, they're very sparse descriptions in some cases, which I would like to see a little more description for certain things, especially regarding buildings or things like that. However, I understand this book is already so incredibly thick, so I understand the necessity of keeping it as succinct and concise as possible. And I do think she's done a good job of that. I think she's handled the balance of that very nicely. It's just the reader in me. You always want to learn more. If you're interested in a world, you always want to learn more about it. So I think that's mostly it right now. Let's see. All right, so, chapter 17, there was a twist that I did not see coming. Without giving too much away, one group of people was thought to be evil, but it turns out they were actually being manipulated by a different party. I don't think that's too much of a spoiler. I don't think it is. Hopefully it's not. Anyway, so that, I actually did not see that coming, and I thought that was a very good and intriguing twist, and I'm excited to see more of what happens with that. Oh, I did highlight a bit of dialogue it is also from chapter 17. "I have a sense," he said, "that you do not think well of me, Mistress Durian. I do not think of you often enough to have formed any opinion of you, your grace." Where else am I going? This is kind of just really scatterbrained. Thank goodness for notes, am I right? So chapter 32, yes, we finally learn about the Priory of the Orange Tree in chapter 32, and according to my ebook, that is 42% of the way through the book. So it isn't until nearly the halfway point that we actually learn what the Priory is, which I understand, you're trying to have some mystery about it, and that's kind of almost a subplot, is the whole mystery finding out about the Priory. But considering the whole book is called The Priory of the Orange Tree, I feel like there should have been a little more info about it earlier on. There were hints, but they were just honestly, in my opinion, kind of throwaway hints, just to, in case the audience isn't intrigued yet, we'll just throw in a little hint here about the Priory, but it didn't really reveal anything, and I do think that more info should have been divulged on it a little earlier on. Something else that I'm coming up against, it isn't so much a struggle now since I am further into the book, but at the beginning there I was really struggling with connecting with the characters because there are so many of them, and this is a problem that I find is very common with high fantasy books and epic fantasy, because there's so much going on with the plot and with the world building and all of the interconnecting plot lines, and so it is really hard to make sure you have time for character building. I do think now that I'm in, chapter 32 or so, I am getting to know the main characters a little better. I am connecting more with the Queen of Innis, Sabran. Who knows how you pronounce that? I don't know how to pronounce any of these names, but I'm just going for it, so bear with me. Kind of the same thing with the Priory, about how we don't really learn about it until chapter 32. I feel like I wasn't really able to connect with Ede for a while, and she seems like one of the, mainest characters. I struggled with that because I didn't know enough about her to really be able to connect with her, and there was hints of mystery, her meeting up with people disguised as diplomats or whatever, and I wanted to know more about her, but that intrigue for me personally wasn't enough to really make me connect with her. It intrigued me about her, but it wasn't something that made me feel like I really got to know her as a character, so I wasn't rooting for her as much as I prefer to be rooting for main characters. You know what I mean? Anyway, it's getting better now because I'm learning slowly more about her past. And again, I understand it's another, subplot, that whole mystery with her. But still, I feel like I could have had a little more info about her, considering she is a pretty major character in this book. So that's where I'm at now. But that being said, despite all of my comments about characters and things like that, I am really enjoying it. There's so much drama, so much tea happening. And there was like 2 character deaths really that happened really close together that I was not mentally prepared for. So that was good. It moved the plot along. I was pretty sad because I did like those characters and I was really hoping to see more of them. But yeah. Anyway, what can you do? Authors, am I right? They're just the worst. So I'm just gonna keep reading. I probably won't check in anymore today. I'm gonna get those 3 chapters read and then, I don't know, probably catch up on some AuthorTube stuff. But anyway, yeah, I'll check in with you later on once I've gotten further into the book and have a little bit more stuff to talk about. Alright, you guys, so I have finally finished Priory of the Orange Tree with 1.5 hours to spare. My hold was almost up, and since it's an online library book, it automatically returns it. I have a few notes since the last time we talked, and it's kind of difficult at this point to kind of give notes because so much of what I want to say would verge into spoiler territory, and I don't want to do that in case any of you all want to read it. I'm gonna do my best here. Thank goodness for editing, right? So if I accidentally spoil something, I'll just cut it out and you guys won't actually see it in this video. So anyway, I have a note, and I wrote this note when I was on chapter 39. I noticed around that time a lot of characters started telling stories, literally I think 3 chapters in a row there's a character telling a story, obviously for world building exposition because this was info that needed to get added, and I wasn't a fan of that use of exposition, just randomly telling a story. I can understand, yes, this information needs to be included, and the scope of this book is just incredible, and I understand that there's a lot of info that needs to get put in, and not a lot of, space to do that in since the book is already so thick. However, I did find the use of storytelling so often during that period to be a little bit off-putting, I guess. I mean, it drew me out of the story a bit, not too much, but it was just a little something that I noticed, that all of a sudden characters just started telling stories all the time. Luckily it didn't, it was just for those few chapters around that area, and it didn't continue, of course, once we reach the climax. There's also a relationship that happens between 2 of the main characters, and I guessed what it was. Kind of proud of myself. I guessed that it was gonna happen, and it wasn't one you would originally expect, I don't think, right off the bat, but I thought it was foreshadowed very well, and I thought the author did a really good job of writing that relationship. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail because that is definitely spoiler territory. Also, chapter 51 has this great quote: "When history fails to shed light on the truth, myth creates its own." So I really liked that one. So that's the end of what I wrote in the notes section, but I am going to kind of give you my overall opinion on the story. First of all, props to the author, because this is just an incredible, just story overall. There is so much going on. There's so much world building and so many character lines. And then not only do you have the character arcs and the stories and the histories of the characters, the main characters themselves in this book, you also have the histories of all the characters from before, people that these characters worship now. You hear about their stories and their histories as well, what they did to become people who are worshipped now. The religion that was created, the different religions, how they all tied into each other, but how they had things that were slightly different among each of the religions. I thought that was really interesting, and I thought it was really interesting to find out how they all connected and the actual truth of the real story of what happened, because each religion has its own story about what happened in history, but it was really interesting to find out the truth that tied it all together as the story progressed. So I really did enjoy that. I did end up enjoying the characters. I was a little hesitant, I guess, at the beginning, but I do feel like at the end of the book, I felt like I did know the characters really well, and I was sad for some of the deaths that happened, and I was sad for I was able to feel, to be sympathetic toward those characters, because I really did grow to like them. So that was a bonus, and I really did. I appreciated that about the book. I don't know, like I'm trying to say stuff without spoiling anything. But yeah, comment down below if you have ever read this book, or if you want to, let me know what you thought of it. If you're wanting to read this book, let me know what you've heard about it that's making you want to read it. I mean, personally, I would recommend that you read it. I think it was good. I enjoyed it. It was definitely one of those ones where, for me at least, I would have liked to have had a few more days to read it just so I could sit down and really enjoy it. The writing style is beautiful, and her use of description is amazing. And it's a very pretty book to read. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but it's very just satisfying to read, her writing style. But I would definitely recommend it, and it may not be your cup of tea, but it's definitely something that would be worth reading just to try it out, I think. I'm certainly glad I did, and I hope you all enjoyed watching my journey reading this. So that's going to be all from me today. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on social media if you do not already. I will have the link to my Instagram in the description below, as well as a link to my previous video if you missed that. And I do have an announcement to make. During the month of July, Autumn, Ashley, and I are going to be doing a lot of different live streams. We will be doing word sprints on those live streams. So if any of you all are participating in Camp NaNoWriMo, be sure to hop on over and join us there. I'll be posting some announcements about the dates and times on my Instagram account, and so will she. So make sure you follow Autumn, Ashley, and stay tuned for all of our live streams to help meet your goal for Camp Nano. So yeah, thank you guys again. See ya!